Okay, a little bit of a break, but back to Psalms again. So, picking up with Psalm 5. Give ear to my words, O Lord. Consider my groaning. Give attention to the sound of my cry, my King and my God. For to you do I pray. O Lord, in the morning you hear my voice. In the morning I prepare a sacrifice for you and watch. For you are not a God who delights in wickedness. Evil may not dwell with you. The boastful shall not stand before your eyes. You hate all evildoers. You destroy those who speak lies. The Lord abhors the bloodthirsty and deceitful man. But I, through the abundance of your steadfast love, will enter your house. I will bow down toward your holy temple in the fear of you. Lead me, O Lord, in your righteousness because of my enemies. Make your way straight before me. For there is no truth in their mouth. Their inmost self is destruction. Their throat is an open grave. They flatter with their tongues. Make them bear their guilt, O God. Let them fall by their own counsels. Because of the abundance of their transgressions, cast them out, for they have rebelled against you. But let all who take refuge in you rejoice. Let them ever sing for joy, and spread your protection over them, that those who love your name may exult in you. For you bless the righteous, O Lord. You cover him with favor as with a shield. Okay, so once again, a lot of the Psalms are mixed, and so what immediately stands out to me is that there's a lot of speaking of wrath and of crushing God's enemies, of destroying wickedness. Um, it's not a message that you hear as much today, but it is in the Bible. And what do we do with that? And how does that lead us to Jesus? I think these are questions that, as a New Testament reader, as someone that's already sees the fullness of what God's doing in this world through Christ, even though that's not fully complete yet. But scatterbrained here. So what's contrasted and what is highlighted to me is the difference between the character and holiness of God and the so he starts in the first 6 verses basically pointing out, well, really in verse 4, you are not a God who delights in wickedness, and evil may not dwell with you. The boastful shall not stand before your eyes. You hate all evildoers. You destroy those who speak lies. The Lord abhors the bloodthirsty and deceitful man. I see that pointing to the holiness of God, that there is no wickedness that can stand before him, that God does not, he doesn't sort of look away from evil or wickedness, which makes sense then that it's the psalmist writes it's out of the abundance of God's love and not his own righteousness that he'll enter the house, enter God's house. It makes sense then that he speaks of the fear of God because he is fully aware that there before God he will not accept unholiness. He will not accept unrighteousness. And then there's the plea, lead me, O Lord, in your righteousness. It's his righteousness. He leads us in his righteousness. Make your way straight before me, the psalmist prays. The way of following God is not our own way, it's his. The way of seeking after the Lord is not something that we decide what that looks like. And then he contrasts, starting in verse 9, those that are not following God, those that the evil, the enemies of God's people. He says, there is no truth in their mouth. Their inmost self is destruction. Their throat is an open grave, and so on. And that, if you're familiar with Romans, Paul quotes that about all of humanity, of all sinners, of all those who are apart from God. What comes out of us, out of our hearts, is death. It's an open grave. And then this beautiful prayer at the end, in verse 11. But let all who take refuge in you rejoice. Let them ever sing for joy. And spread your protection over them, that those who love your name may exult in you. For you bless the righteous, O Lord. You cover him with favor as with a shield. And so, as we hopefully recognize the right place of the fear of the Lord in this psalm, may we also take refuge in God our Savior. And may He bring joy to our hearts, deep and lasting joy. That's it. Psalm 5. Thanks.